After 6 years serving in Rwanda, Mr. Wang Jiaxing, the senior commercial counselor in the Chinese embassy in Rwanda, is about to go to another post. And he kindly agreed to give us an interview to tell us how this last 6 years have been. Mr. Wang Jiaxing, thank you very much indeed for your time. You are leaving Rwanda after 6 years. It is always an interesting question for me to try and understand, given Rwanda's recent history, to try and understand what goes through someone's mind when your nation asks you to say you're going to serve in Rwanda. What were you thinking? What were you expecting?
Thank you very much, Vincent, for having me. We've been together for quite a number of times, and also I read your articles online very, very often, and they are beautifully written. Thank you very much. Well, I've been in Rwanda for almost 6 years, and it is unusually long term for me because I used to be working also in Asia and other African countries, but it has never been so long. Rwanda really is a country hard to leave. And I never expected I could be here for almost 6 years. When I look back in 2018, when I was informed I'm going to Rwanda, so I got very excited because, you know, before Rwanda I was working in Malawi, and very coincidentally, when I was making some research and study about African countries, so from different regions, I chose some countries for comparison, and very coincidentally, I chose Rwanda from East Africa, and because previously I know there was astonishing genocide happening in 1994. I know the country was very wrecked just by that Holocaust, and but when I was doing the research, I read that the country was developing very fast under the great leadership of President Paul Kagame. And because when I do the comparison, Malawi was also a landlocked country, and Rwanda is also. And when I compare some of the economic conditions, so I found out that the cost for the land transportation doubled even than the Malawi. I was very astonished because that was a great disadvantage for the economic development of Rwanda. So when I was informed I'm going to Rwanda, I was very excited and very curious. I want to find out, when I go to that country, I need to find out how, under that disadvantage, Rwanda can achieve greatly and also gain international and global reputation for the fastest economic growth in the world.
That's very interesting. We're going to come back to that in a bit. There's just been a summit for the first time in Africa, the World Travel and Tourism Council Summit in Rwanda. In his speech, President Kagame said that the leadership imagined a Rwanda where everybody would want to come. So presumably from your point of view, he succeeded. Has it been somewhere where you feel this is a place I want to be?
Yes, it is. And when I did the research, so the information I got was piecemeal and also is not very direct. Yeah. So when I come to Rwanda and stay here for 6 years, and I witnessed and also participated in the economic efforts and also the societal development of this country. So I got very impressed, and I also feel very proud to be part of it. And also I witnessed just the visionary and also the selfishness and the sacrificing leadership of President Paul Kagame. And now I become a die-hard fan of this president. I think he is, I don't think I'm exaggerating. but I think he is one of the greatest leaders in the world, even in the history. And so I'm very happy to find out that Rwanda is developing on the right path for this country under the context of the current existence.
You know what's really interesting? Whenever one starts a new job or a new post, there is some kind of induction. You know, you are told, obviously, you know the responsibilities of your particular job, but you're also given an induction of the company, if it is a company, and so on. In the case of a senior diplomat like you, the company is actually a country. Tell us what it is that you wished you had had and you didn't have, or maybe it works as you think it ought to work, you know, to get acclimatized and to understand where it is that you're going to be working.
Well, as an economic and commercial counselor, my job is very clear, and to promote the economic and commercial, financial, and the technological cooperation between the two countries. Even though that China is a huge country and Rwanda is comparatively smaller, but I think there are great potentials between the two countries. So I began to sort of call upon the different officials, and also they even communicate with the technical people. And we find out that sometimes, very, very often, that we share the same language, and my Rwanda counterparts, they are very aspirational, and they are very, very enthusiastic and also ambitious. So I enjoy the working relationship, the very close working relationships with them, and we accomplish a lot of the programs and the projects together, and making changes, and help to make contribution to the transformation of the Rwanda society and economy.
That's something we'll also come back to in a moment. Before we get to that, let me again take you a little bit back. So you arrive at the airport, and say in the first week, what is going through your mind, and what are you thinking, what are you seeing? How does it, you know that you're going to spend a few years in this place. How does it feel?
I can never forget the first scene I had when I just arrived in Rwanda at the Kigali International Airport. Clean. It is so clean where I go at the airport. And the immigration officers, they are very professional and well trained. And they are making no trouble to you. And also they are digitalizing their work. And they put in all the information into their computers. So instead of making process just on all the paper documents. And also they're very friendly and very well educated. So that gave me a very good first impression about Rwanda. And so that echoed just what I read in the newspaper. Rwanda was very well governed, and also and all the visitors will be well treated by them.
Now you're a very experienced diplomat, so you've been around the world quite a bit, and you've been, Rwanda is not your first country in Africa. But again, go back a bit and see what you missed from China. Everything from food, from availability of things, and so on. Is there part of you that always think, you know, it's good to be here, but it would be nice to have this and that and the other back home?
No, when I come to Rwanda, indeed, there are quite a lot of differences between China and Rwanda. But it's very easy to adapt myself into the life here because we have a lot of Chinese company here, and also we have Chinese restaurants, and also at the same time I have a lot of other exotic choices. So here in Kigali we have wonderful restaurants just to go, and just different culture to enjoy and to explore. Yeah, and also I made a lot of friends here, and they're very friendly. They're very hospitable. So they treat me just like friends, like family members. So I can always have a very frank and candid conversation with them, learning from them, and sharing my viewpoints with them. So very rapidly, I feel at home. You know what? Even over the past 6 years, I've been back to China, I think around 3 or 4 times. But whenever I went back to China, I felt I was on vacation. Yeah, and it was maybe a business trip. So I just carried my baggage, yeah, and just visited my headquarters, the colleagues. But I didn't have the feeling of at ease. Yeah. So it seems that I'm roaming, yeah, not home. So when I come back to Rwanda and put back my baggage into my room, and then I say to myself, finally, I'm home. So Rwanda, indeed, to me, is home. I feel very at ease. I feel very comfortable and very relaxed, when I'm in Rwanda. So that's why I'm saying Rwanda is really a country hard to leave.
If you speak to random Rwandans, they will have a list of complaints as long as they're armed. So let's have your complaints. What are the sort of things that, yes, you've loved being in Rwanda, and yes, it's a place that is difficult to leave, as you say. But what can change to make that little bit of a difference that you feel a little bit more content with it?
Well, I think just no country in the world is perfect. There could be some complaints or some defects just in a country. But in Rwanda, and maybe just over 6 years, I feel some regrets. Maybe number one regret is, even though I'm staying here for so many years, I never got the chance to shake the hands of the president.
Oh.
Yeah, there have been some occasions, yeah. And maybe to join the opening ceremony of some investment projects. So I was just standing by him. He passed by, yeah, but I never got the chance to shake the hands of his. So that's my biggest regret. Yeah, and so I think if you ask me to say something about complaints, I'm not that kind of person to complain. Yeah, because the country is moving on the right path, and my friends, they're working day and night. I have a lot of friends at FDA and RDB, and at nighttime they work late, they stay up, work until very late time. So I feel very, very impressed. I think I'm very just content just with what I have experienced over the past years. And also when I talk to my compatriots, the Chinese company people, they also feel very lucky just to work and live in this country. And for those people, yes, I heard of some complaints. Even in the media, online, there are some, different or even opposite opinions about Rwanda development. But I think we need to be objective. Yeah, if you are very subjective, so you can find something you are not very satisfied with. Yeah, but just we need to compare just with the situation horizontally and also vertically. So, and then you focus just on the achievements and look for what can be achieved and to make the society better. Yeah, so that will be making you very enthusiastic and ambitious, and also not very dissatisfied. Yeah.
To my knowledge, I don't know if President Kagame has visited Liberia. So when he does, make sure that you're out there to have a chat and shake his hand then, perhaps. One of your interests, I know, is critical thinking, and perhaps much more predictably also business critical thinking and music. When you look at you mentioned that the Malawi being landlocked, Also, imports especially will have been very expensive. But Rwanda, the costs were doubled. So when you look at it critically, from your background in economics and your interest in critical thinking, can you tell us roughly how you think they have managed? How have they managed to do that and at the same time be economically relatively successful?
Yes, indeed. And usually Rwanda have two land routes. There's two ports, to Dar es Salaam, and the other is Mombasa. Yeah, and so it was long distance, and so no wonder it is very costly just to import and export goods. So that's why so the prices in Rwanda a little bit higher than other countries. But I think just the government has taken a lot of measures and implemented very well. So, for instance, to establish just the land port in Kigali and trying to form Kigali as a kind of hub of logistics and goods, even aviation and also satellite for this country. And I think they have made a lot of efforts just to offset the disadvantage of the landlockness, and so I think that's the right way. And I think trying to bring down the prices significantly, so we'll be helping the local people to enjoy very affordable goods for their living. So. And also, since I came, that several countries together with Rwanda are discussing about the building and the construction of a railway. So I think for the long run, and so that program will work, and the disadvantages will be very much mitigated.
So there is admiration and there is affection for Rwanda. So let's look at things critically. Given your affection and your admiration for the country, let's look at how things can be better done from your perspective. So in the role that you have been playing here, China has obviously got masses to offer to a country like Rwanda. And what is interesting about China, from as I understand it, is that it's gone from being a less advanced nation to one of the most advanced nations within a relatively short period of time, where others, maybe about 50 years or so, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. And within that period of time, it has gone very fast. So a number of mistakes must have been made. So not only have they done everything and many times more than what Rwanda's trying to do, they have also done it at extraordinary scale given the size of China. So when you look at in the development here in the technology and manufacturing and so on, which is what you've been looking at, how would you say that the country is doing, and what do you think? What would make a difference to make things go better, more smoothly, fewer mistakes, perhaps get there faster?
Well, I think the achievements, not only economic but also societal, is very remarkable in Rwanda over the past, almost 3 decades. So I think it is attributable to several factors. So number one is the stability in this country. Yeah, especially compared with what happened in 1994, and also even compare with in some of the countries, not only African but also even European, Asian countries. And so the political stability is one of the key factors to ensure Rwanda's very smooth and consistent development, because there is no much politicking like in some other countries, right? And then the policies and also the strategies and also measures could be taken and implemented in a very consistent way. And people are not divided. People are united, especially under the leadership of the president and also RPF. So that's very, very important. People can focus on economic development, readjustment, and also the innovation. And second thing I think is Rwanda has plans. They have Vision 2020, Vision 2035, and a Vision 2050. So and then these long-term plans will say charter for the country, so that the government can navigate just along the track and make achievements one after another. So and then I think that the planning is very, very important. I think the third is, I think the people, they are really united, and they go all out just for the national transformation and the rejuvenation. And just now you mentioned about some advice. Indeed, recently when I was invited to dinners by my local friends, and they asked me what advice I could leave. I think maybe number one is, I think President Paul Kagame once said, so it's too early to be satisfied with what we have achieved. Yes, indeed. I think the progress of Rwanda is remarkable, but so far it is too early to celebrate, and because Rwanda is still say one of the say underdeveloped countries just in the world, and in spite of the great improvement economically and also in terms of GDP per capita, I think we should just follow the instructions of President Kagame, and okay, it's too early to be satisfied with what we have achieved. We still have a long way to go, and we need to roll up our sleeves and to carry on, and to implement one milestone after another. Then we can we can improve just the country. The second piece of advice I might give is in education. I think in China, just each year there will be millions of graduates from universities. So at least almost half of them, they're engineers. So maybe each year there will be graduated, say, millions of engineers. So that is very important for the country's, say, incentive. So I think just Rwanda should just continue to carry on its educational strategy, just to improve the quality of the primary school, middle school, and also university. So that they will be the very solid foundation for the country's long-term and consistent improvement.
You mentioned education as being key, education and training. I think everyone within the government of Rwanda will tell you that the most important thing now is to improve the quality of education. Of course, after 1994, there is nothing in Rwanda that didn't need to be started from scratch. So they're coming from a very, very low base. They're coming from, less than zero. They're in a minus here. One of the things that isn't often, I think, acknowledged enough is the knowledge base in China. Within 50 years, to do not just well, in all of these things, but to be more advanced than countries that have had, centuries. I think for me, it's hugely symbolic, for instance, now that China has tested, I don't know whether it's running now, but it's tested its maglev train, the most advanced train you can possibly have. This is incredibly advanced science and technology. Looking at that, how do you get from, now China was lucky in that maybe it had the teachers, but how do you, Rwanda is caught in a way, chicken and egg situation. Yes, it's trying to improve education, but you also have to find the teachers, to train the teachers, to improve the teachers. And in things like engineering and STEM subjects, they say, it's not easy to find. So I want to understand, within those 50 years, how China goes from a country that really one of the less advanced nations to a country that can build the maglev train. That is really what's fascinating.
Yes. I think for the Chinese, we have the tradition of emphasizing and emphasizing the importance of education. Yeah, I think it is kind of thousands of years of a tradition. You're quite right. And when the People's Republic of China was founded in 1949, and the economic level, so in terms of GDP per capita of China, was even less than the African countries. But we put in a lot of efforts in education to improve the literacy of the people and to input this knowledge and technology into the people. I think especially after 1978, when China adopted the reform and opening up policy, and so we also put in more, we mobilize all the resources just to put into the education. So as I said, just each year, so millions of engineers will graduate from Chinese universities and colleges. And now, right now, China has become educational superpower and a technological superpower, and in many fields in the world. So we're leading, for instance, 5G and also quantum, as you said, just the fast speed train, even the maglev, the commercialized maglev railway. So I think right now in China we are on the right path and to develop our technologies and in trying to digitalize and also the even just in AI form all the technologies, and they will put in momentum just to the economic development. Yeah, I think just for Rwanda, well, I know just in 1994 when the genocide occurred, 1 million people were killed and 40% of the population fled to other countries. And when President Paul Kagame defeated just the genocide, just stopped the genocide, and Rwanda was in a very bad shape. When I discuss with my colleagues, we often say, at that time, Rwanda didn't start from scratches. They started from basement. Yeah, and but within almost just 3 decades, Rwanda was back on its feet and developed in a very amazing way. But in terms of technology, so yes, indeed, I think it takes time, because in China we have a saying, it takes 10 years to grow a tree. It will be taking a century to bring up the children, the people. Yeah, so I think education is very important, and in order to achieve remarkably in the field of education, I think there are so many ways to train a teacher and then to educate the children. I think we can do them just simultaneously, and also you don't need to do it alone, because for instance, in China we used to donate, say, primary schools, middle schools in Rwanda, and we helped to build the Musanze Polytechnic. So we finished the phase 1 and also phase 2, and we are going to take into consideration the phase 3. Yeah, and also in recent months, there came so many Tibet colleges in China. They visited Rwanda and they strike out conversation with their Rwanda counterparts, and they also would like to play a very constructive role in Rwanda's Tibet education, because I think people needs not only the textbook knowledge but also the hands-on skills. Yeah, so I think China can be very helpful in this way in the education. And also in recent weeks, so I was very thrilled to find out, and some universities and colleges, they also come to Rwanda and trying to establish a kind of say ties together. Say to maybe we exchange teachers, and we can set up a kind of sub-campus in Rwanda, and also each year we invite a lot of Rwanda officials, but also the technicians, to go to China and to join some training course, some seminars, and then just find ways to improve the education level in Rwanda. So I think in terms of education, Rwanda is not alone. Yeah, and China can work together with Rwanda in this field. Yeah, so and then we can expedite Rwanda's educational reform.
Really, I'm looking at where China had a vision. Say, we want to be able to do these things ourselves. This is, by the way, a very crucial point. And China has done this by itself. And what I think is would be really interesting, so for a country that wants to develop with the ambition that Rwanda has, would be to look at the mistakes that China might have made while trying to get to, the initial mistake, while trying to get at where it is now. And then Rwanda can look at that and I say, so that's what one needs to do. So that's why it might have gone wrong, and that's what we need to do. What are the main areas that Rwanda needs to look at and say, this is a much better direction. This is how China did, and translate it in their own way. But this is a universal route to go to these things. Yeah.
I think no one or no country is free from mistakes. Yeah, and what is important is you need to think hard about the mistakes and try to identify it as early as possible and just make adjustment and to make it right. So that's very, very important. I think just just look at the history of China. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, and so we began to develop our economy. And but unfortunately, between 1966 to 1976, we had a revolutionary, the Cultural Revolution, so which was very devastating to the culture and also to the I think it did harm just to almost the most of the people of the country. And then, so I think, but the Communist Party of China, we had the functionality to review the mistakes and to turn it back, and move back on the right track. So I think just after that was a kind of a blunder, right? But after that, and we got back just to the right track, and then we emphasize on the seeking truth from the fact policy, the philosophy, and we try to avoid any other mistakes like that, and we go all out and mobilize all the resources to the fields that we should be, for instance, education and technology, and also the economic reform, opening up. In the past, that we consider that we could, so we closed the door just to outside world. So it was a huge mistake. Yeah, and then when we reformed and then opened up, yeah, and we established closer and closer cooperation with other countries, including the Western countries. So I think that's that's the key of China's success. And also at the same time, we feel that we should be independent. Yeah, and we cannot just rely on wholly just on the foreign elements or just the products. You know, for instance, in recent years, so even some Western countries, maybe especially the United States, so they try to curb and also contain China development. So they try to cut the production chain and also the supply chain. Yeah, and for instance, they make sanction unreasonable and groundless sanction upon Huawei company. Yeah, and so that's the thing we learned. We used to think that, okay, we can rely on the supply of the chips just from those Western manufacturers. But from that, say, lesson, so we learned for the key technological sectors, we need to be supplied and independent. Yeah, I think just for Rwanda, we can also learn from that. Yeah, and in some fields, we can open up just to the globe. Yeah, we can rejoin the globalization. But for some of the key factors, yeah, and you also need to have the ability to be independent and self-sufficient.
So let's look at what would be interesting would be your successor in this particular position. What advice will you give to your successor in continuing the work that you've been doing together so that it's a smooth transition? And when you look at the things, there will always be things that one wishes one had done. When you look at the things that perhaps you wish you had done, what will you say to your successor in terms, in thinking within the perspective of how Rwanda wants to develop and how it is developing, where he or she should be looking at?
Well, I think I have a lot of things to tell my successor. Yeah, based upon my 6 years of working experience here. I think firstly is to make friends and converse with them candidly. I've been working in so many countries, and one of the feelings, the very strong impressions I got in Rwanda is sometimes they insist on their own thinking and their own practice. But if you think you are quite right, so talk with them. Yeah, and so those people, they're not, they're not impatient, and they're not self-satisfied. And so when you talk with them and when you work them together and make analysis and put yourself into the shoes of them and then give some advice or some ideas. So in the end, so maybe they'll agree with you. So they're not, as I said, they're very patient and they are very ambitious. So in the end, they will listen to you. Yes, so I think the first suggestion I will give my successors is to make friends, to talk to people. Yeah, and the second thing I would like to tell my successor is to be practical. Yeah, we need to do, in Rwanda, so if you're not delivering, you will not be in a position for long. Yeah, so we need to work very practically just with your counterparts and make joint efforts and to do something practical for the people. People can feel and people can really absorb just for the improvement of the economy and also the society. Yeah, and so and by then when you work together, you can get something out just from the efforts and make contribution just to the development of the nation.
I want to look at perhaps obsessively at this idea of what is, I mean, the China talks about the Great Leap, but actually the Great Leap has been in these 50 years. I mean, it has been a leap, a leap. It's a quantum leap, really. I keep going back. You mentioned that in the 1940s, China's GDP was less than many African countries. And I would imagine its technological and its engineering and its manufacturing capability was also very low. So I'm obsessively perhaps going on about this idea of how one gets there and the mistakes that one makes. If I can just, you know, those of us who are interested in athletics, in 9 seconds, or, you know, somebody runs 100 meters, yes, and it looks incredibly impressive, you know. It seems almost miraculous. It's superhuman. What you do not see is how he or she got there, the training, the injuries, the constant, all of the detailed working out of how to run 100 meters so quickly. Of course, the talent has to be there, but also the detailed, you know, planning and being able to make something of that talent. It's a similar thing to go from the situation you described in 1940s to now testing the Maglev train. I want to look at that mid-period, that period of training, that little bit of detail, because I think, to me, in the friendship and cooperation between Rwanda and China, that is the most interesting bit, because people can look at China now and see a miracle almost, but it isn't a miracle. Somebody has done all of this, and there's been an awful lot of mistakes made. So when it comes to education, when it comes to training, all of these things, you know, where did that all come from? Where's the start? Where do we get from making these mistakes to getting to the Maglev train, to 100 meters in 10 seconds? You know?
Right, it's a very good question. Several weeks ago, I remember I had dinner with some of the private owners, the private investors in Rwanda, the Chinese private investors. And I asked them, what do you think is attributable to the success or the miracle China has made over the past several decades? And they said, I remember very clearly, just one guy said, there are 2 points. Number one is, the Chinese is hardworking. Yeah, I think in so many countries, they say the Chinese, they don't sleep. Yeah, they work day and night, taking different shifts. Yeah, the second is the leadership of the Communist Party of China. It is very, very important because, you know, I think it's just like in Rwanda, just over the past 3 decades, right? And what they have achieved is a miracle. It's very remarkable. Yeah. But if you have one core force in your society, which can unite all the people and mobilize all the resources to accomplish or to just implement the plans one after another, so it is a great force. You cannot resist. You cannot stop. Yeah. And but the focal point is that force, I think we can call it ruling party in China, it's the Communist Party of China. In Rwanda, it's the RPF, right? That ruling party should represent the interests of all the spectra of the society, representing all classes, all blocks of the interests of the people. So, and then, the people can be united, yeah, when will not be misled, and will not be instigated, yeah. And so it will be, and when they choose a right path, so all the resources will be mobilized, that's just to do it. So, and then it will be very effective, efficient, yeah, and it will be work out just in a very maximum way, yeah. So, and then all the things can happen, yeah. So, I think just in Rwanda, RPF can represent the interests of the spectra of all the classes. Yeah, and the ruling party is human people centered. That's a very important thing. I think just like in so many other countries, that they have multiple parties and each party represent certain class of people. And then the society, the whole country is divided. Yeah, and they have different opinions, different policies. So, so if one government is fail the election and the other party take the stage, and they will be abandon or just annul all the previous policies. So there will be ups and downs of their economic development and also the policy, and the people will be they will be puzzled. Yeah, and so a lot of resources will be wasted. Yeah, so that will be very terrible. But that unfortunately is happening in so many countries in the world. So I think just in Rwanda, if the RPF can consistently represent the interests of all the spectra of the society and can self-review and self-regulate itself and self-manage and self-reform itself, so and remain to be people-centered. So I think then and then the whole society will be developing on the right path. Yeah, and develop your own strategies and your own policies. So and then I think there will be further or more miracles and economic achievements. Yeah.
So last two questions. Firstly, back to your interest in critical thinking. Like many African countries, the majority of Rwandans are young people. Define what critical thinking is and why it's useful and why they should be interested in it, and why it should be a day-to-day thing in whatever they do. And then tell us, if you would, you have friends in Rwanda, you'll miss them. So other than the people, what is it about Rwanda that you're going to miss? Yeah.
Well, I think in Rwanda I have made a lot of friends, friends of different age, just different background. I have a lot of friends who are government officials. I have friends just who are company the CEOs, and also even have some friends who we play soccer together. I used to patronize this one very talented player at the age of 20. And I think when I leave, I will be missing all of them. So I have a very in-depth and insightful discussion with them, and even chatting with them. I learned a lot just from, and they tell me the rules of Rwanda and what in which way they are thinking, and I think I will be missing them a lot, and also I think I'll be missing something else. I think the governance, and for a country, good governance is even more important than the natural resources. Even at least more than 50% of a country's prosperity and development will be based upon just the governance. So indeed, I'm driving every day, so I feel very impressed when all the cars and motorbikes, they stop to let the pedestrians to follow the zebra lines. And the whole society is working in a very tidy way. And people are better and better educated, and they learn the government is ruling the country by law, and people are abiding by the laws. I think everything is going in the right direction. So that will be the thing I'll be missing very, very much. Because frankly speaking, I think in the world there are not so many countries like Rwanda. And tidy, clean, incorruptible, ambitious, very good security situation and the political stability, and it's kind of perfect combination, together,
So, and critical thinking. So, define critical thinking, what it is, and why for so many young people it would be important and useful to have in whatever they do, day-to-day situations.
Yeah, I think indeed throughout the African continent, in most of the countries, that the population is very young. I think in Rwanda the average age is 19. And I think the young people, and they're very eager to learn, and they're very eager to improve their lives, their livelihood, and they're eager to become, rich and prosperous. Yeah, I think that's very, very good. Yeah, it's a very big resource just for the country to move on. But I think we need educated young people. Yeah, especially I think they need to learn things, to learn knowledge from the textbook, from the streets, and from other people, just to get themselves equipped with knowledge and capability. So, and they will not be left behind just by the fourth industrial revolution. Yeah, because if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the skills, and you'll be jobless. Yeah, and maybe in the future, just with the development of the technology and also even artificial intelligence, maybe in the future, some of the work will be replaced by the robots and by the AI. And I think that's the kind of challenge so they need to face. So they are young, it is very good. They're energetic, they're eager to learn. But at the same time, they should be armed with knowledge and skills. So that will be the future of them, and that will be the future of the country. So I think that in Rwanda, the government is very place a lot of emphasis on the development and the empowerment of the young people, especially including the women. And I think the young people should just follow the instructions and also the policy of the government, and to enrich themselves just with all those capacity that will be needed. So in the future, and they will be the pillars of the country's development, and they will be the great leaders in the country, looking like they're very visionary and irreplaceable President Paul Kagame.
So it's possibly obvious, but and you more or less answered it. But where does critical thinking play in all of that? So if I'm a younger person listening to that, how is critical thinking going to guide me in that? And what is it? And what good will it do to make sure that I stay within those areas that you describe?
As you know, in China, as I'm a guest professor of college, sometime I'm teaching them critical thinking. Yeah, I think critical thinking is more or less equals independent thinking. Yeah, you should have your own observation, you have your own logics, and then you have your own conclusion. So it will not be. So you should not be easily be led just by other people. You don't easily believe in what other people will tell you. So you should identify the facts, and then from the facts, you find the truth. And by discovering the truth, you should make your decision about what you should do. Yeah. So and then you will become independent person, and you have your own way of thinking, your own way of action, and your own way of success.
Good. Well, on discovering the truth, I think we should end on that, Mr. Singh. Thank you very much indeed for your time, and very good luck in your new posting.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vincent, for having me. And I think I would like to repeat, I feel very blessed to have been working in Rwanda for almost 6 years, and to witness and observe the development of this wonderful country. And I firmly believe that under the great leadership of President Paul Kagame, so Rwanda will be making economic development and societal improvement and social transformation and made miracles and success one after another.
Good, well, thank you
Okay,
very
thank you,
much.
thank you,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mm.